Hello, and welcome to today's In Conversation with Nutraceutical Business Review. I am Sophie Bullymore, and today I'm joined by Dan Pizer, who is the VP of Strategy and Marketing for Consumer Health at Catalent. Lovely to meet you, Dan. Let's just first start with, can we start with just telling us a little bit about Catalent, what's new and exciting there, and some things our audience might be interested in?
Sure. Well, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Catalent, we are a multinational contract developer manufacturer of pharmaceuticals, biopharmaceuticals, cell and gene therapies, and consumer health products. We've got a long legacy. We've been around in various forms of our company for nearly 90 years. And throughout that period of time, we've been helping innovators with the development and supply of a variety of products. We're proud to say we touch the lives of millions of people around the world on an annual basis through the products that we manufacture, and we take that to heart in everything that we do all the time. Of note, I think people may have become familiar with Catalent in the last couple of years as our biopharmaceutical parts of our business helped supply and manufacture COVID-19 vaccines, something that we're very proud of, having been part of the solution to the pandemic that's ongoing, but hopefully with vaccines, we have some new solutions as well as with therapies. I think for this audience of note is for our consumer health division. We recently made news with an acquisition of a company called Patera Wellness, and we are really excited about that. That added some new formats to our portfolio of innovative dose forms. So we now have gummy, soft chew, and lozenge, adding to our industry-leading soft gel and other formats that we have available for consumers. So we're really excited about this journey and very happy at Catalent to be serving consumer health customers.
Yeah, well, speaking of gummies, I was going to ask about them. What do you think about that is specific to them that has accelerated the market in such a way?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a really great question and something that we've been analyzing for quite some time. I mean, I think that there's really three aspects to it. The first is there's changes in the consumer. So, an interesting fact about gummies is that, this is a format in the nutritional space that really started in the late 90s in the United States, with the advent of multivitamins, really for kids, right? And any parent knows as we're trying to improve the nutrition of our kids and make sure that they're healthy, getting vitamins into them or anything that's beneficial sometimes is a challenge. So the idea of using gummies as a format really came into play, and we started seeing that innovation happen in the late 90s. Now, the interesting thing is that was successful in and of itself. Now, fast forward, we're in 2022, and those kids that took those gummies back then are now consumers in their own right. They're millennials. And as we know, millennials, they are not the generation that is willing to swallow that bitter little pill, as it were, right? So if we think about supplements and supplementation, they're much more focused on the experience as well as the benefit. And they have that experience from their childhood. They've sort of been primed with the introduction of gummies back in the late 90s and early 2000s. And so now as consumers, they're looking at that format as a legitimate format for them to take different supplements in. So that's one thing that we've seen. We've also seen a real explosion in the idea of self-care. These consumers are not only interested in the experience, but they are really interested in the benefits to them. And as more consumers have really taken to gummy formats and other experiential formats like that, they've really focused on the benefits and what they can do for them. If we think about supplementation, maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, or even longer than that, it was really a faith-based type of a thing, right? You were taking supplements on the notion that you were going to be healthy in the future for your heart health, for bone health, for other things. Now, supplementation has a lot more of a healthy now ring to it, where we are seeing the types of formulations that are coming into the marketplace that have a signal to them, that signal efficacy, sleep, mood, cognition, energy, and these types of supplements have really attracted these millennials and younger generation to supplementation. And so we've got that aspect of it going. And so you really have sort of what I'd call a perfect storm that has really supported this. And, we've also had some advancements in, some of these technologies. So, I think gummies are here to stay. And it's been a really interesting journey. That explosive growth makes sense. It's right now, I think it's a largely North America based phenomenon that we've seen as a legacy, but it's starting to catch on in other places as well.
Well, as you were saying, with this explosive growth, do you think that gummies have plateaued in a way?
It's an interesting question. So, recently we've seen data that show that experiential forms, and it's gummies included, are growing at 4 times the rate that standard forms are in the marketplace. Now, that's an interesting point because supplementation in general has been on a growth trajectory, and that's been bolstered by the drive towards immunity formulations in the early stages of the pandemic. And that was a really interesting phenomenon because you had some great information that came out talking about vitamin D's benefits. You had the kitchen logic of vitamin C and people knowing that they could take supplements to help with their immunity as well. And they didn't have vaccines at the time. So you had a lot of adoption coming into play, right? And that's created, I think, some evergreen, growth for the supplement industry, and it's on a great trajectory. So for me to tell you that these experiential forms are now outpacing the growth of these standard forms, largely where a lot of those types of formulations, vitamin D's and vitamin C's were, is really saying something, right? And gummy is the majority part of that. So we really don't think that it's plateaued. And I'd add that aside from the fact that we're still seeing other categories that have not yet had gummies introduced into them, so we still have a growth trajectory. 2 other factors. The first is that some categories which were largely dominated by a single format have seen gummy come in as a fast rising second or now the dominant form, right? So that's a really interesting thing to see because what you're seeing is people are actually actively looking for a gummy for that specific formulation or need. And the other thing that I think is really important is it's been a capacity constrained industry, right? Everyone knows if you're out there, you've been looking for a gummy partner, that capacity is hard to find. And while there's more capacity coming on, we know that there's pent up demand and there's more gummies that can be made than are being made. And so we really think that there's a lot of growth to come here in the space. And it's why Catalent made the investment that we made and why we're so excited about our capabilities, because of the formulation expertise that we've acquired as well as the capacity.
That is all so interesting. Great information. But moving away from gummies a little bit, tell me, are there any other formats that you sort of see you think are underrepresented or sort of might push for a new wave of growth in that format?
That's a super question because I don't want anybody to forget about other formats out there just because we're talking about gummies today. Gummies, I think, are a great example of when you give consumers something that they want or like, how much drive can be created to that. However, when at Catalent, we've always taken the approach that the formulation rules and the technologies help create the design for a perfect product, right? So that said, a lot of times, there are different formulations out there that aren't really conducive to gummy, right? I know there's a lot of pounding, square pegs into round holes to try to get a gummy to work. And I applaud that, but I'll tell you that there are other formats that are really great that shouldn't be forgotten. Of note, I'd say that one of the technologies that we've acquired is soft chew. Now, it creates the same chewable experience for consumers, but unlike gummy, it also provides the ability to get more of a dose load into a single unit, which is attractive for a lot of people because they don't realize sometimes that the dose they have to take is 2 or 3 or more gummies at a time, or where the soft chew can make sense. The other benefit to the soft chew technology is a unique format and process that we have, where we can process them and maintain the integrity of very sensitive ingredients like collagen or other heat liable ingredients. And so we have the ability to put unique formulations together for these experiential formats that we think are really great. So soft chew is one of these. I would say it's still nascent. It still hasn't really been developed into the marketplace that much, but we're starting to see it not only in supplements, but also in the over-the-counter space. And we're very excited about that format.
Well, that's also fascinating. I think probably my last question is, if people want to know more about gummies, soft chews, or just generally anything Catalent is doing, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, we've got a lot going on here at Catalent, as you can imagine, with all the stuff that we've done. I think one of the first and best ways is if you're going to be attending VitaFoods here coming up next month, please don't hesitate to stop by the Catalent booth. I think our booth number is G60. So G60 is our booth number. We're very centrally located. We'll have a very prominent presence, very large presence. We'll have lots of people there ready to speak to you about a variety of different offerings. We have our legacy soft gel offerings, stick packs, our ODT offerings, gummies, soft chews, lozenges, the whole variety of things that we can do for consumer health. The other thing that I would encourage you all to do is visit our website at consumerhealth.catalent.com. There you can find a lot of information about our technologies, as well as various ways to contact us. Drop us an email at sales@catalent.com as well. We'll be happy to get right back to you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Dan. I'll make sure to drop by at VitaFoods. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone watching. If you'd like to see more interviews with companies like Catalent, head to our YouTube channel or go to nutraceuticalbusinessreview.com. Once again, thank you for watching and have a great day.